Hi, everybody. I'm Jeremy Haft, Chief Revenue Officer from Digital Remedy. I guess you know that, right, over there. And I have Adam Davis. Fill in the rest.
Yeah, Adam Davis, Senior Marketing Manager at Magnolia Bakery.
Awesome. Are you guys hungry? Yeah, you hear that? Awesome. So really quick, not a sales pitch. Digital Remedy is the 23-year-old performance media company that you may not have heard of, but you've probably worked with.
I've heard of you guys.
You've heard, well, you have, yes. And some of you folks out there have, but not many. That said, our specialty really focuses on outsourced programmatic execution solutions with a specialty in performance CTV. Hey, Tom Hammer. See you back there. I don't know if you want to share a little bit about Magnolia Bakery.
Yeah, of course. So I joined Magnolia Bakery a little over 2 years ago at a pretty pivotal stage in the company in the future. So when I joined, Magnolia Bakery was just a very famous retail bakery, 8 locations in New York, 1 in LA, 1 in Chicago. When I started, my first project was transitioning the brand to an e-commerce platform, which still consumes a lot of my day. The current magnoliabakery.com is where we do all of our nationwide shipping orders, all of our advanced orders for in-store pickup. It took a while to roll out, but in the process, we also executed a rebrand. So we have a new logo, new colors, new ways that we talk about our brand. That also led to our expansion into grocery store shelves. So just this year, Magnolia Bakery rolled out into CPG, and we have our first CPG product, which is a banana pudding cookie. That is, you're looking at my pocket because you know I have one in my pocket for you.
I'm like a dog.
Yeah, it might be a little bit warm, but it's a banana
better.
pudding cookie, which is currently in the process of rolling out nationwide. So I don't know if you want to eat it right now, but you can.
It is nice and warm.
Yeah,
I'll save it.
You can let it cool
And
down.
banana pudding from Magnolia is one of my favorite desserts. So
Yeah.
you put in a cookie now. I'm excited for. We have 26 minutes left before I dig into it.
Yeah.
So I think you guys all know Magnolia, but it's pretty interesting. We've talked about CTV. We could talk about the evolution of CTV. We could talk about it's the fastest growing media channel, as you all know. How many? Here, I'm taking a raise of hands. How many people are cord cutters? All right. Who still has cable? All right. Familiar with the term cord stackers? No. Multiple apps and subscriptions. I assume that's everybody. And then there's also cord nevers. Who never had cable? Anybody? We have somebody. I love it. Awesome. So as we've seen, CTV is one of the fastest growing media channels. It's right now, I think the latest stat from eMarketer was for every $3 spent on linear, $1 is being spent on CTV. It's a massive seismic shift, and it's a place where we're starting to take the analysis of what's actually happening on a CTV, which historically was used from a branding perspective, and actually drive business outcomes for it. So I think with that being said, I'd love to ask you a few questions, because this isn't about me, it's about you. So when thinking about performance, we always like to think about outcomes, right? What are the business outcomes Magnolia is looking to drive through media?
Yeah, so when I started at the brand, we kind of started from scratch when it came to media planning, advertising executions. We had a brand new e-commerce platform. For the most part during this conversation, I'll be talking about e-commerce because we invest a lot of energy and dollars into our nationwide shipping platform. But again, when I started, it was a lot of just test and learn and just see what happens and see what performs well. From a performance perspective and an upper funnel awareness perspective. When talking about shipping yourself banana pudding, if you're in Kansas, you obviously have a little bit of awareness work to do if you're not from New York City or you're not familiar with the fact that our banana pudding is worth shipping to Kansas. It's a tough sell.
I agree.
Yeah, so we started pretty basic within low funnel tactics, and as we tested and learned, we implemented kind of an 80-20 split of 80% of our budget is going to go to things that we know works and that we consistently see pay off for us. The other 20% is going to be all test tactics. And as we grew, we ended up uncovering connected TV as one of those test tactics that thankfully I was familiar with from my agency days pre-brand side, and it kind of ended up being a match made in heaven.
I love it. So you talk about the 80-20 rule.
Yeah.
Is that continuing to evolve over time?
Yes, only because the more we test, the more we want to test. So as our budget grows year over year and as our business grows into new channels like wholesale and grocery, the more we want to test new tactics. We're nowhere close to having it down pat. So every year we're doing our 24 planning right now. We're incorporating new things, new ideas, new strategies that we weren't necessarily even thinking of in late 2022.
Very cool. And then, over the past couple of years, and obviously you've been buying, planning, strategizing, leveraging insights on CTV for a while now.
Yep.
But when did CTV start playing a role in Magnolia Media Mix?
Yeah, as soon as we rebranded, I think we kind of realized that it was time. And it also gave us a good opportunity to start talking about our brand in a different way. We had never created a video asset ever before. So there was no pre-existing brief or pre-existing rules of, Magnolia Bakery is doing a video ad. What does it have to be like? And I think we took a lot of freedoms coming out of the rebrand in let's be a little bit quirky. Let's be a little bit creative. Let's not be the retail, more old-fashioned Magnolia Bakery that you may have thought of 3 years ago. So pre-brand refresh, we kind of identified that our audience was streaming. We had a really good opportunity to reach that audience, and so we kind of just press go from there.
Interesting. It's funny because you think about Magnolia and the legacy of the business, and most of the folks that are accustomed to it are legacy heavy linear. So
Absolutely.
obviously budget takes place in there as well. When you talk about the key deciding factors in expanding channels into CTV, what was one of the initial things that you learned from your first CTV buy?
I mean, we learned so many things. So our first CTV buy, we actually segmented the entire buy out by audience targeting. So we identified, yes, the Magnolia Bakery customer has this household income, has this age range, and all the basics. And then from there, we used a lot of different data segments to identify binge purchasers and baking enthusiasts, and even going down into like channel breakdown. We identified that Hulu was a big one. Of course, Hulu is a big one for everyone, but we really wanted to test and learn across not only different audience segments, but also different channels and publishers and networks.
Very cool. And then when you take a look into that first campaign you guys ran at CTV, what were some key takeaways that you learned? Is there anything that you would have changed? Anything you wouldn't have done?
I don't think I would have changed anything, but that question has good timing because we're about to launch our holiday marketing for this year. And basically the plan for this year is just I would say an 80-20 maybe split between what worked last year and where's the opportunity for this year. So last year gave us a clear-cut result of these segments are rising to the top, these publishers are rising to the top. In terms of pure acquisition, but also landing page visits and video views, and that kind of led us into our strategy for 2023.
Very cool. As you're talking, and I'm thinking about the cookie, and then
I can tell you're thinking about it.
Not to pull a pun on cookies, but how does the impact of cookies impact your cookie business?
Yeah, I've thought of that pun. I've thought of doing
Sorry
with a cookie pun.
Yeah.
My entire department is always making dessert puns all day, every day. So shout out to them if they're watching; they'll enjoy that. The good thing about the CTV that we run with Digital Remedy is that it offers us a lot of transparency. So even in this changing landscape with cookies and privacy rules. With the pixel that we have placed on our website, we are able to track down performance to all the way down to an order number level, which for us is incredible. So even though we're a Shopify hosted platform, when we're looking at orders placed via Shopify, we can easily tie those orders back to a Digital Remedy connected TV ad exposure. Even though Shopify won't register that conversion as a marketing attributed conversion, we can then go in and actually do a manual match back to create the full picture of marketing.
Very cool. Which I think parlays into a great next question of insights, right? And you start getting and gathering so much more information as it relates to correlating exposure in the CTV capacity to actually some outcome. What are you seeing from a business decision perspective? How has those insights actually driven potentially what you've done in a non-media capacity within the organization?
Yeah, one of the not necessarily a risk, but one of the ideas going into our first CTV campaign was, let's do it when we know gifting tendencies are at their highest. Magnolia Bakery, our business really peaks during the gifting tentpoles. Obviously, if you were going to ship banana pudding to Kansas, you're probably going to do so for Christmas or for a family gathering or something like that. So we really wanted to invest in connected TV for the first time during the gifting tentpoles to really capture the eye of that gifting-heavy audience, and that was one of the data segments that we identified with Digital Remedy going into the buy. And it held true. So since then, we've executed a number of different campaigns. Obviously, the holiday campaign performed the best because the asset that we created is very shipping, gifting focused. And anytime you have a big tub of talking banana pudding on the screen, sometimes you think about it through the lens of, okay, I want that for myself, but if it's the weeks leading into Christmas, maybe that's something you want to send to a friend who lives somewhere else. So that's one of the things that we identified definitely works and that we're continuing to amplify this year.
And as we continue to look at the converged approach to CTV, linear, have you guys started dabbling in the linear space?
We have not. Maybe a 2024 or 2025 as we expand into grocery. I would imagine more of our grocery audiences are watching linear versus converged. I would say because last year worked so well for us, we still have so much work to do within the converged TV space that we're not necessarily ready to test linear yet. For me, I have no desire quite yet because I know our audience is consuming converged TV. And until we run out of frequency and we identify that, okay, I think we've exhausted our options within converged, then we'll probably pivot over. But yeah, maybe in the grocery lens for 2024, that entire section of our business is totally different. So it's exciting. It uncovers a lot of opportunity for us from a media perspective. Shopper marketing and grocery marketing is so different than e-commerce and nationwide shipping. So I would expect to see Magnolia Bakery, the brand, in 2024 in more and more places, regardless of what we're talking about, whether it be retail or wholesale or grocery or nationwide shipping or whatever else we add to our array of capabilities in the next year.
Very cool. And then, again, as the brand is expanding, the SKUs are expanding, the product portfolio is expanding. When you look at that converged TV approach, right? I think that's where you start filling in the gaps, right? Because your audience is expanding; it's expanding rapidly fast, I would assume.
Totally. And one thing that, again, going into our first connected TV execution, we needed to be really selective about the SKUs that we were showing within our creative. I've mentioned banana pudding a few times just because my whole life revolves around banana pudding, but also it's what customers, it's also what our first-time customers want from us. I think something like, 80% of our first-time customers who ship themselves something pick banana pudding in some capacity. Obviously, we have a lot of different SKUs that contain banana pudding. We have samplers and variety packs and limited time multi-packs and you name it, party bowls with a gallon of banana pudding in it, and people love it. So we knew that we wanted to really lean into our best sellers, our evergreen assortment, rather than talk about something like Thanksgiving pies, which is, you laugh, but it's a very serious, Thanksgiving pies are no joke for us. But it's, we had to make that decision of not showcasing LTOs, using a creative that could be always on throughout the year and that we know that new customers are going to gravitate towards. Although pies are going to sell out for us this year in no time, the majority or closer to 40% of the people who are purchasing pies have actually purchased from us in the past. So we don't need to rely on really paid media outside of a few dollars in low funnel advertising to drive the pie purchase. Whereas the first time customer from Kansas, I don't know why I keep going back to Kansas, but the first-time customer from
Got
Kansas,
some barbecue.
yeah, absolutely. Maybe they need some banana pudding upper funnel exposure before they are driven down the funnel to make a purchase.
Yeah, and what's interesting is you talked about your recurring purchasers. You know that if they bought you from before, they're going to buy again.
Yeah.
How have you used the insights you've gotten and you've gathered from CTV in order to continue to refine those audiences and expand?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think for returning customers, we are relying less and less on paid media entirely. I think over the last 2 years, we've really found scrappy ways to bring those customers back, whether it be own tactics like email and social, or local partnerships and giveaways to incentivize an entry or a purchase. We're not necessarily running paid advertising to people we already know are going to buy from us come holiday season. So what we've really done is we've identified those segments that I mentioned earlier, like gifters, binge purchasers, baking enthusiasts, people who have purchased from our competitors or through platforms, other nationwide shipping food platforms. There are a ton of them. And we've really kind of narrowed down our audience to focus on only the people who are going to make that purchase, considering it's a big purchase. To ship banana pudding across the country is not cheap, and it's worth it, but it just requires a little more effort from an advertising perspective.
Yeah. I think hopefully we've gotten you all pretty hungry for some sweets now. I wish we had a counter saying how many times we've heard banana pudding.
Yeah.
But I'm actually going to shift the conversation into, you've been buying performance CTV
Yeah.
for a while now, right? And you've been doing it across different companies, not just your current organization, but when you're on the agency side. For the audience and for those that are buying or are looking to buy performance CTV, when you're vetting CTV partners, what are questions that you recommend our audience asks folks?
There are a few that come to mind. The first one is inventory. You want to make sure that you are buying the most premium stuff out there, assuming you want to reach a premium audience. There are a lot of partners out there who do not offer inventory on the publishers that at least I consider premium. You want to make sure that your ads are showing up not only on those publishers, but also at the right times of the day.
Not 4 in the morning.
Not 4 in the morning. You want to make sure that your impressions are firing against somebody who is actually watching and not just asleep with the TV on, which is important. It's more important than you think. It'd be funny, though, if that person woke up and then decided to buy banana pudding, just subconsciously.
They were taking a little nap.
Yeah. Second is pricing. You want to cast a wide net, right? So you want to make sure that you're getting the best rate in the market. You want to make sure that you're talking to multiple partners, making sure that what you're buying is not overpriced. In this industry, thankfully, you can cast a wide net, and you can make sure and feel confident that what you land on is the right thing for your business and for your media dollars entirely. And the third is transparency. I mentioned this earlier, but the biggest value prop to our business is being able to see a potential customer come in at not only an exposure. A lot of people view connected TV as just an upper funnel tactic, but for us, it's become a performance tactic because we can tie a view and an impression back to an order number, which is the most valuable thing possible. And then from there, we can really build on it and start saying, okay, what are these purchasers? What do they look like? Who are they? And what makes them different from people who are just viewing our ads and then not doing anything besides the fact they might be asleep, which we know they're not because we're buying smart advertising. Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. Awesome. And then any strategic recommendations you'd make to marketers looking to invest in CTV for the first time?
Yeah, I said this before, but test and learn all the way.
Yeah.
A lot of people, media planners, marketing managers, go into buys with opinions, myself included, thinking, okay, I'm biased to Hulu. I know that Hulu is a premium publisher. My audience is definitely on Hulu. But when you talk about connected TV, you're talking about a whole world of opportunity. So you can test a million different things, which is why we're not done testing this year and probably next year. But you want to kind of create these plans, not only across audience segments, but also across publishers and channels and even day parts and age ranges and kind of just keep drilling down, because at the end of the day, you're going to land on insights that not only inform your CTV strategy, but also your greater marketing strategy, paid media or not. There's been plenty of times where Digital Remedies Pixel that's placed on our site has come back and given us a really awesome audience insight report of just magnoliabakery.com site visitors. And we've seen segments pop that we weren't even thinking about, like sports gambling, for example, where it's like, oh, okay, that's a new one. Maybe we should consider that one as a potential vertical to tap into via partnership or something else that's out of the box. So there's a lot of ways to kind of take those insights and apply them to things that aren't just another connected TV buy.
Yeah, you bring up test and learn, right? And I think it's interesting, and I think this is more like career advice that maybe you could give folks is, you entered a new organization, right? Coming from your agency days, you had this idea, you knew what worked in the past. Sometimes, your boss's boss, your boss's boss's boss is like very regimented that you're spending this money, this shit better work.
Yeah.
Right? How were you able to get that buy-in to get them comfortable with something so new to a company that probably wasn't even spending that much money on media?
Yeah, luckily, my boss was also pretty new at the time. So our CMO joined Magnolia Bakery only 3 months before I started. And I think we were both single-minded at the time, and we knew that we had all this opportunity. And the test and learn idea happened way before connected TV. It was we sit down, we look at the business. I come from the agency side. He actually also had experience on the agency side, and we said, wait, we have so many things we need to do. We need to be doing the baseline before we even think about, strategy and expanding into places like connected TV. It's like, wait, we don't have Google SEM running? How long has that been going on for? And Digital Remedy actually helped us out there as well.
You guys hear that, right?
Shameless plug.
Yeah. I didn't pay him for that.
No. But yeah, luckily we were kind of on the same page. And I think when he hired me, he knew that I was going to be not aggressive, but very creative in terms of the tactical assortment that I wanted to bring to the table. It's come through the form of different campaign ideas. Luckily, you mentioned layers and layers and layers of approval. I'm very thankful that our CMO is my boss, and if I can sell him on something, most of the time, if he agrees, we can bring it to life. That's awesome. So I've been very lucky in that way, and I think in the 2 years we've accomplished a lot, not only from a business results perspective, but a pure marketing assortment perspective. Again, across not only our nationwide shipping business, but also thinking about our bakery on Bleecker Street, which has been there for 27 years.
The OG.
The OG, as we call it. Think about there's people who know Magnolia Bakery all across New York City, but there's probably a handful of people who've never stepped foot into that place. And if you step foot into that place, you're probably more likely to want to ship somebody a dessert from it for Christmas. So a lot of ways to think about the ways that our business interacts at different touch points. But I'm very thankful that I'm involved in all of those verticals, and I can kind of see how retail marketing differs from nationwide shipping marketing and so on and so forth.
Very cool. So going back to CTV, in your eyes, what does CTV excellence look like?
What does CTV excellence look like? I think it's a full funnel approach. As I mentioned earlier, a lot of people in the industry kind of have these thoughts that a certain tactic is tied to a specific objective and only that objective. It's like 2.5 years ago, if you asked me, I would have said video, upper funnel, rich media, mid funnel, Facebook ads and Google ads, low funnel. That's full funnel advertising. But I think excellence in CTV now is it hits across all three of those stages.
Story.
Yeah, exactly. So you can run connected TV with the pure objective of just eyeballs. I am launching Magnolia Bakery in grocery stores all across the country. All I care about is I want people to know that.
Yeah.
And your strategy for that buy will be a lot different than the strategy of, okay, now I actually want someone to buy the product. And with the Digital Remedy Pixel that we have placed on our site, we can do retargeting via CTV. So we can, say this person has visited our website, not made a purchase. How do we reach them either via CTV or via display or native or something else that's more low funnel in nature? Or do we keep hitting them with CTV until they convert, which they might, and they do, as we know from last year's holiday execution. So full funnel approach to the one singular idea of connected TV, I think, would be the best in class execution.
Cool. Yeah, it's interesting because the evolution, right? It went from this is an element of TV, or is it a comparison to online video, but it costs X amount more than online video. So taking and looking at really what the outcome is and how it's impacting and affecting the outcome is really how CTV is starting to play properly within your world.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I think we crushed it on CTV.
I think we crushed it in general.
We always do. However, now it's time for some fun questions. So, what are you currently watching on CTV?
I call it that. I get home, I say, let's put on the CTV.
On the telly.
On the converged television.
IP connected.
Yeah. I'm watching Shrinking right now, and I'm watching Hijacked, Idris Elba.
Interesting. I see
Both Apple TV.
some nods.
I guess I'm an Apple TV Plus guy.
There you
I
go.
didn't even know it till now.
There you go.
Yeah.
I'm
Oh,
not a
sorry, I should
big
have
TV
asked.
It's okay. I'm not a huge TV watcher or CTV watcher. However, I did see, I think it was this morning, Netflix is coming out with like a hybrid of, it's like a golf tournament, full swing times the race car driver one. I'm stoked for that. Super excited.
They're also doing like the Squid Game competition thing. Netflix is innovating.
And one other question.
Yep.
So, we all think we're the next top chef or baker, or whatever it is. If there was the atom that was to be sold in Magnolia, what would it be?
Yeah. The truth is, it actually is sold already, but you can't.
Because of you?
No. So I don't have the word atom on a menu board yet, but maybe next year. So for my birthday a couple years ago, we do like a custom cake for everyone's birthday. And my cake that I asked for, which is chocolate cake layered with peanut butter buttercream, which is by far the best flavor combination, ended up being a really big hit. And it kind of turned into like other people started wanting it for their birthdays, and now it's kind of referred to in our office as the Atom Cake. And I don't know if it's referred to as that. I'm just kind of taking credit for it. I've heard it one time.
I think of it as like the atom bomb.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, exactly. But although it's not sold in the bakery, you could, in theory, call a bakery and say, hey, I want a chocolate cake with peanut butter buttercream. And now we're going to
get them calling it the atom, right?
Yeah.
Even like behind.
Yeah. If you call a bakery and say, I want the atom, it's not going to work. But
Well, wait, really quick. We have 12 seconds.
Oh, boy.
And you have a special offer for everybody that attended.
Yes, we have if you're a first-time Magnolia Bakery customer on magnoliabakery.com, we have 10% off your first order. Advertising week is the code.
All caps. Caps.
Right? Caps or lowercase, it'll work,
I
think. Not case sensitive.
Oh, no.
So if you have...
Through Sunday at midnight.
Through Sunday at midnight, nationwide shipping order or an order for pickup at a bakery.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for my cookie.
Yeah, enjoy it.